Alright, what's going on, everybody? So recently in chat, I have been getting asked to show off my talents and my gear for doing carries. As you might notice, there are no burial plots here in Zul'Farrak Graveyard. I just cleared it out to do some testing to get ready for pre-patch of the Burning Crusade, to time how long it takes me to clear Zul'Farrak Graveyard as a Paladin. As long as I'm clearing Zul'Farrak Graveyard in sub 10 minutes, I'm pretty happy with that. Considering after the Mage nerf, there is not going to be any other option when it comes to boosting, at least not that I am aware of. So I guess we'll just go around and like smack some stuff and show off my gear while we're at it. So first I'll put on what I wear when it comes to stockades. So this is my build when it comes to stockades. So we'll start with the helm, which is my tier 2 helm. To me, this is basically the best there is. There is nothing that is going to be better. It has high armor, it has high spell power, it has a lot of stats, even has some resistances, which can be useful. So to me, there really is nothing better as far as I am concerned. Right now, I do have the ZG enchant on it because I did used to heal full-time in my tier 2. I no longer do that. So I will be replacing the ZG enchant with a Librum of Focus. Now, don't feel too bad because I did get this ZG enchant very early on. It only cost me 100 gold when I bought it, so I don't exactly feel bad about replacing it. As far as I'm concerned, there just strictly is nothing better than having your 5-piece tier 2. Next is going to be my neck. That is the Choker of the Fire Lord. This is from Ragnaros in Molten Core. This is the highest raw spell power neck in the game. Because Consecrate cannot crit and you're really not too terribly worried about your heals critting or anything like that, the raw spell power is what you want. So, after that, I am currently using tier 2.5 from AQ40. It is a very, very slight upgrade over top of tier 2 by 1 spell power, but it has slightly less MP5. But again, it has more armor, and I think the stat distribution is a little bit better. Now, there is one item that is a direct upgrade over top of tier 2.5, and that is the Trash Drop Shoulders from Naxxramas. Those have 20 spell power, as well as more armor and good stat distribution. So, as soon as I actually see it drop in a Nax GDKP that I go to weekly, I will do my best to get a hold of it. Alright, next is the Cloak of the Devoured. This is the Caster Cloak from Cthulhu. Now, this one was, of course, also a GDKP pickup, because no guild in the right mind would just give this over to a Paladin. So again, this is the highest raw spell power in the game currently. And now, if you want, you can get the cloak from Nefarian. It is 38 spell power, or you can get one of the cloaks from ZG, and those are going to be perfectly serviceable cloaks. One of my goals coming into Classic is I just wanted to have a full best-in-slot carry Paladin for the fun of it. Next is going to be your Demon Forge Breastplate. Obviously, this is a linchpin in doing really clean and really fast carries, aside from just stockades. The Drain Life ability on here is increased by 40% of your spell power, which is a huge increase in your survivability when you're going up against a huge number of mobs. We do have a lesser absorption on it. This is a 5% chance when struck to absorb 25 damage. Unfortunately, there is an internal cooldown for this enchant but it is still far superior than any other enchant you can pick up for your chest. Better than 4 stats, better than 100 HP, better than mana, it's better than all of them. So I highly recommend everybody pick this up. So next on the list is going to be your bracers. I currently have tier 2 bracers with 9 stamina. Although the spell power on them is incredibly low, you have to use these when it comes to filling out your tier 2 5-piece. And the fact that there just isn't really any other options to replace them with the armor, the stats, and the spell power working in tandem. MP5 is a perfectly fine enchant for this as well if you are having mana problems with your carries. Next is going to be tier 2 gloves. These are going to be your best in slot or your side best in slot depending on what items you have available to you. Great MP5, great spell power, stats, and armor. And then the plus 20 shadow damage increases the drain life of your Skullflame shield and your Demon Forge breastplate. Now, I say this is kind of your best in slot because, depending on your gear configuration, I left it in my bank. There is the plate gloves from AQ40. I believe it is the Gloves of the Fallen Crusader. Those have 16 spell power on them with a little bit more armor, but they are not as good as an upgrade as another slot that we swap out, and I'll go over that in a moment. Next is going to be your tier 2 belt. This is by far your best in slot. Great spell power, great stats, great armor, everything you're looking for, as well as getting you that incredibly important 5-piece. Next is the item that I said that I was switching out instead of using the tier 2. And this is the Trash Drop Pants from Naxxramas. These things are insane. Huge armor, huge stats, 2% crit, and 26 spell power. These things are massive. Huge pants. I do plan on getting a Librum of Focus on those very soon. I just need to run a Skullomance, and those will be finished. Next, we have tier 2 boots. As far as I know, there is nothing that even comes close to being comparable. On top of that, I have the Defense Plus 3 from the Core Leather Armor Kit. The minor run speed does not stack with the Zanzipot of speed. So for me, I would rather just have that little bit of extra mitigation, and that's perfectly fine with me. So next is the Ring of Spell Power, which is 33 spell power, which is an incredible amount of spell power to have from one ring. Now, any ring is really going to do when it comes to doing stockade carries. I would recommend the ring from getting Exalted with the Bronze Dragonflight, or really any of its lower versions are all perfectly acceptable, perfectly serviceable rings. But if you can get into an MC GDKP and pick this up, it is a great pickup. Next, I have Ring of the Fallen God. This is, of course, the highest spell power ring in the game. There is nothing better, nothing that has higher raw spell power on it. Now, of course, you have to make the decision. Do you want to get this ring and forego being able to get one of the other items, say the neck or the back from the Cthulhu Turn-In? For me, this thing is incredibly powerful. It is too good to pass up. Now, I actually no longer use the Ring of Spell Power that often. Instead, I have now swapped to the Wrath of Cenarius when I'm doing mass pulls. This is done from the Silithus chain, where you have to turn in 20 logistics badges, 20 tactical badges, and 15 combat badges as well as get the Mark of Cenarius by doing the 4 Dukes quest. And you have to be lucky enough to get the 4 Dukes quest as well. That alone is really annoying. I had to do around 20 tactical quests just to get the correct follow-up quest. It is incredibly annoying. But this ring is broken. I've said it on stream, I've said it in other videos, this ring is so broken. It is a 5% chance to proc, meaning that if you have a huge amount of mobs following you in a carry, you can keep the 132 spell power up 100% of the time. It's insane. An extra 100 spell power over top of the ring of spell power, I can't even begin to tell you how amazing it is. So, for stockades and for some other places, I do use Force of Will. 1% chance when struck in combat to reduce melee damage by up to 25. When it comes to pure mitigation, this trinket is the king. If you are having trouble surviving and you really want to have better mitigation, get the Force of Will. It is even easier to farm now because it's swapped its item pool with the Hand of Justice. This now drops off of Anger Forge in BRD. Much, much easier to farm. Now, I don't expect every Paladin to get this. It is not an easy item to get for anybody. It is Nel's Tier from Nefarian. Again, I picked this up in a GDKP. But when it comes to raw spell power and just raw power alone, it is an unbeatable item. It's just huge. There's what more can I say about it? It's Nel's Tier. Everybody knows it. So if you can get it, I highly recommend it. There is pretty much nothing that beats this item in terms of it's just raw power. So other trinkets that I would recommend using would be the Mark of the Champion. The Mark of the Champion is going to be usable all the way until the Wrath of the Lich King. It is 85 spell power against undead. So if you plan on doing anything that is and demons. So if you plan on doing anything that has to do with demons or undead, you need this trinket. It is too good to pass up. So, it is also useful because once the Burning Crusade drops and we get ourselves to level 70, there is a good chance that we will be able to solo Undead Stratholme as a Paladin. If we can do Undead Stratholme 1 pulls in TBC, that is going to be a massive game changer. So, next is going to be the Zandalari Trinket from turning in the Hakar Heart. This is just a massive spell power boost whenever you decide to use the trinket. So what's really nice about this is you drop your Consecrate and then you pop the trinket before the first tick hits. So you get the full stacks of this for the ticks of the Consecrate. As well, it's going to be a massive drain life increase for your Skull Flame and your Demon Forge armor. A next honorable mention is going to be the Rune of the Dawn, which again, spell power to undead. Stylings is a good option for some extra survivability, but you also need this for TBC. It is in my bank, but I would highly, highly recommend getting Uther's Strength. Uther's Strength is an incredible trinket if you are lacking in survivability. It is I believe it is a 2% chance when struck in combat to surround yourself with a shield. I forget exactly how much the shield mitigates, But again, if you are having trouble with your survivability, then it's definitely an item to check out. Let's see here. Are there any other trinkets that I would highly recommend? If you can't get Nelf's Tear, I have actually seen the Spell Power trinket from Saf go for cheaper than I've seen it go for cheaper than Nelf's Tear because it doesn't have hit, and it has essentially the toe-up effect. So if you can get your hands on the Saf trinket, then that is super, super worth it as well. Very, very powerful. So finally, we've got our Librum. We are using the Librum of Grace, which reduces the cost of our cleanse by 25. If you are in stockades or places like here or anywhere that have disease applications, that is going to save you a huge amount of mana throughout the fights. Next is your Skullflame Shield. Again, the Drain Life is affected by 100% of your spell power. It's incredible. When pre-patch and TBC comes out, sadly, the Flame Strike ability will be getting nerfed by the AoE cap. Next is my Locomere. This is the second best weapon that you can have. The best weapon, in my opinion, for carries is going to be the End of Dreams from Grobulus. It has 95 spell power and MP5, so it's incredibly high raw spell power and then very useful MP5. So I will be getting End of Dreams as soon as I can. And then finally, so this is the spec that I use so that I can raid and do carries without having to change my talents over and over again. So 5 points in Divine Intellect, 5 points in Spiritual Focus, 3 points in Healing Light, Consecrate, obviously necessary, 2 points in Improved Lay on Hands is just incredibly useful and good for raiding. I did put 2 points in Unyielding Faith instead of Improved Blessing of Wisdom because, frankly, I've never been in a raid where, 3 other paladins didn't have Improved Blessing, and this has been incredibly useful, especially in AQ40, resisting fear so that I can keep healing. Next, Illumination, very standard. Divine Favor, very standard. And Holy Power, very standard. I am often the one who keeps up Light or Wisdom on bosses, so I decided to put 1 point in Lasting Judgment rather than any of the other talents. So, finally, in the Protection tree, you want to take anything that is going to increase your mitigation. Maxed out Improved Devotion Aura, maxed out Redoubt, maxed out Toughness, maxed out Shield Specialization, Kings because it's Kings. 1 point in Guardian Favor is just really nice for the cooldown reduction. And then you have to have Blessing of Sanctuary. Blessing of Sanctuary is absolutely necessary when doing carries. So yeah, I think that's about going to cover it. There's only a couple upgrades that I need to be full BIS. But this is my builds, and these are the items that I would suggest. If you ever want to ask me any questions about Paladin or carries or anything about the game, you can catch me every day over at twitch.tv/the Duke of TBC every day at 9 p.m. PST, that is California server time. I'm always doing free boosts, streaming GDKPs, raiding, sometimes on my warrior, and I would love to see you there. You can also follow me on the socials down below, and I hope to see you guys there. Later.